Okay, so looks like we are not live yet. Now we are going live. Okay, perfect friends. So hope you are having a fantastic day today. I was not sure, I'm still figuring out how this live stuff works, but eventually I will get it done. So as I was talking earlier, basically this is going to be an introductory session on the cloud computing. Sorry about that. Okay, so hopefully it should have been fixed now. So as I was talking about, this is going to be an introductory session into the realm of cloud computing. We are going to talk about everything related to cloud computing, why it was created, why it was needed, what was the original computing mechanism, what are the benefits of cloud, what is public cloud, what is private cloud, what is hybrid cloud, what is on-premises services, some of the important introduction related to distributed systems. On top of it, we will also talk about different things related to like services that are being offered by cloud. So infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. Once we figure that out, we will talk about what are the benefits and challenges with cloud technologies, what are the current scenarios, what are the present future prospects, what are the things you should be looking out forward if you are applying for a job, or if you are already working, or if you are planning to graduate sometime soon. I think this will be your good introduction about cloud technology, because there are a lot of jobs available. It is one of the hottest technology in the IT market right now. And if you can't watch this whole session, don't worry about it, because after finishing this stream, I'll probably make like a 10 to 15 minute video introducing cloud computing with everyone. And over there, I'm going to cover all the small minute topics that we discuss in this stream. But for this stream, we will talk about in much more depth. Plus, I want to make this session interactive. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to post it on the chat. I will continue to monitor the chat, and if I feel like some questions are worthy, I might respond to them. Okay. So without any delay, let's get started. Let me bring my iPad out. Okay. And let me change the scene. Okay, perfect. Looks like we are in the game. So the first topic we are going to discuss right now is going to be that how did initial systems used to work like. Because first we will have to understand that what was the original scenario and why do we need cloud computing, and then we can start understanding that what was the need for it, how it incorporates with our need and stuff like that. So think of a scenario that you are just a small time business shop owner. Maybe you sell fruits or something like that. Okay. So you are just a simple fruit seller. Now, originally you used to sell in a simple shop, and it turned out that your shop soon became much popular. And now you started realizing that a lot more people are coming into your shop, and now you have some capital at your hand that you want to use for the improvement of your services. So what you did was that for your fruit seller shop, you went ahead and created a website for you. Now in this website, you provided the information about what are some of the seasonal fruits that are coming in, what are going to be all the promotionals, what are the prices, what are the store details, addresses and stuff like that. Think of that scenario. Now, since this is a small enough website or a service, you have simply hosted it in one of the servers that was available at your home. Okay. And this can be your laptop that you keep 24/7 up and running. So in your computer, you have a service that is always up and running, and it is working. I'm so sorry about this camera. I don't know what's happening. Okay. So in this website, everything is working as expected. No issues with that. Now the problem happens when suddenly you started to realize that maybe you opened another shop, and then maybe you opened another shop. Then you have way more people trying to reach out to your services, and suddenly all the people, they started hitting your services. So the server you currently had at your home was not capable enough. So what you did, you created another server. Maybe you try to do that. Maybe you created another server, and maybe you try to deal with it, and now you have multiple servers running in the background and trying to resolve your issues. Still there are some problems because these servers, they might go up to date, or there are some issues with the hardware, or maybe the power supply cuts off. If any such thing like that happens, your website is completely useless, or your website is not able to handle the load. That is number one issue. Number two issue is regularly you will have to update the existing operating system, or what are some of the components that are working on these servers. Next, you realize that some malicious bad actors, maybe some hackers, they started hitting your services, and they try to break your services into by creating DDoS attack or network firewall attack, because they wanted to access, or they wanted to do some malpractice on your service. Maybe this can be your competitor, some another fruit seller who was jealous of you. Okay, whatever the case may be. So now you will have to invest more in order to create a firewall across your website. Then you will have to make it secure. Then suddenly you realize that currently your fruits were really popular in one city of any particular country. Let's say that in Toronto, your fruit seller shop was really popular, and your system was working fine. But suddenly you decided that even in the New York, you are going to open one shop. And after opening one shop in the New York, now you are going to open another shop in the San Francisco. Now, if we see the map of North America, Toronto is located over here, New York located over here, and San Francisco is located somewhere over here. Which means still for these two regions, they are okay to hit your existing servers. But for San Francisco, you might have to create another server. So now, instead of you focusing on your fruit selling shop, you will have to focus on so many other aspects just to keep all of these things maintained. Because number one, you will have to maintain the software. Number two, you will have to maintain the website. You will have to maintain the servers. You will have to maintain the networking. You will have to maintain the geo distribution load. You will have to take care of security. You will have to make sure that all the servers are updated frequently. So hardware update and maintenance you will have to do. And if something goes down, once again, it's very big troublesome for your system. So that is not a good experience. What would be a better approach is that suddenly around this time, there are some companies who specializes in providing these types of services. They come to you and they be like, let's assume that companies like Microsoft, or maybe Amazon, or Amazon, so AWS or Google Cloud Platform. These are the three major cloud providers right now: Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, and Google Cloud Platform. Okay, so imagine these three services come up to you and they say that, okay, currently this is the map of America. We have our servers located in all of these three regions, which means whichever city you want to operate, you will get the service closest to that. So that is number one option. Number two option is that these services tell you that we already have our very own servers. We also have our very own databases. We have our own networking. We have our own security. We have our best practices. We have all the availability, reliability, scalability. If the load increases, load decreases, all of these things we take care for you. On top of it, they are giving you the guarantee that all of these services will always be available to you, and you will only spend what you use. You will not spend more than what you currently consume. So because in this scenario, it could be possible that if there is no traffic, still you are anyways paying for these servers. But in this scenario, they are only saying that you only pay for what you use, or pay as you go. This is the model, and you are getting all of these services. Plus we are guaranteeing that anywhere in the country you want the services available, we will provide it to you. We will do it securely. We will provide all the mechanisms. Plus we will give you all the like analytics feature. So all of your logs can be stored. Then we will give you all the features related to best practice, insights on our system, what is happening, then monitoring and alerting. So if you want to see that whether your code is working as expected or not, you can still see that. So now all they care about is that you pay them the money and you just create this website that contains the code, and then you can run the same website on their servers. So this is a very good approach, and it solves a lot of your problems, because now you are willing to pay for your services and you are getting all the features you want. And this whole concept is called cloud computing. So this was a basic 10,000 feet view introduction of what cloud computing is. Now let's try to start understanding more detail about all of the different scenarios and what are all the different considerations that we will have to take. Okay. Originally, back in the day, all the systems, there was no cloud because there was no internet. So what any particular company would do is that any single company, they would have to have all of these servers up and running, and they would basically consume these servers to do their services. Now what happened was this was not feasible for every single company. So then there came an approach where there would be a company who owns these different data sources or data racks or data centers, and they would guarantee all of these connectivity, that these servers would be up and running for you, and no matter what. And you can actually pay, or you as a user can go to these companies and say that, hey, in your this server I want 2 racks, or I want like 2 spaces to put my data in, and this would be exclusively available for me. Same way, some other person can come in and they can do the same thing with some other servers, and that is how the network is going to be separated. Now then we took one more step forward, where instead of one company handling all of these services, now we have giants like Azure, AWS, and stuff like that. They cover entire globe. So everywhere in the world, they have created bunch of different buildings, and in these entire buildings, they have guaranteed all the data centers that you can imagine. They have different servers, they have different databases, they have different networking of their own. These buildings are highly secure. They are like they have backup power. They have backup generated. On top of it, in any single city, they will have multiple buildings. So in case if there is a major power outage or something happens in one building, other building will still be working. If you think that, okay, what happens if the entire city loses power of that, or if there is some natural disaster? So in one particular country, they would actually have multiple of these regions or availability zones, where they would have multiple different separate buildings amongst the same zones. And you will have the access that you can share your load or have your load deployed in both the places. So if one place gets busted, your company's operation still keeps on working, which means these cloud companies, they provide you scalability, they provide you reliability, availability, then disaster recovery, security. So you name it, there are a lot of benefits, and all is being done for the price of your smile and some dollars. Okay. Yeah, dollars are really important in this scenario. So now you got the basic idea of what the generic cloud computing structure or architecture is. Now let's try to understand that what are the different types of cloud computing available. So number one type of cloud computing is called public cloud computing. What public cloud is, that this is, let's assume that this is the whole cloud scenario. Now if you want to use your services, you simply go there. This is a public cloud controlled by Azure services, and where you can just start using their services. Maybe some other person, they can go there and they can start using their services. Now don't worry about it, like all of the services would be isolated from each other. So it would never be the case that this someone outside entity would have access to your data or your servers. But in either case, you are basically using the publicly available cloud that has been provided to you. That is one option. Second option is that these companies like AWS guarantees you that for you, we would create a private cloud. So let's assume that once again, this is the city and this is the building. They are creating a separate private cloud just for you that no one else can use. If you want, you can have the whole thing. You just have to pay for it. And this is the concept of private cloud. And now, after understanding what public and private cloud is, there is the third combination, that is a hybrid cloud. So in the hybrid cloud, basically you have some services that are in your private cloud that are more critical and more important. Maybe your private data, your sensitive data, some of the government compliance that you have to follow. So for that you are using a private cloud where no one else has access apart from you. And there are some other services that are just like some running some websites and some promotional contents and stuff like that. For that you can actually share it with all the other people and just create like your separate version in the public cloud. So this is called a hybrid cloud environment. Okay, there are three different types that are public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Now there is also one more combination that you can do, because many of the companies initially when they were in the existence from like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, which means they already had their own servers and their own systems that were already running on these existing servers. Okay, so maybe they don't want to take out all of these stuff out and move everything in the cloud. So it could be possible that for any particular company, they have some services that are currently running on a cloud, and these can be public cloud, private cloud, or hybrid cloud, any type of cloud. And on top of it, at the same time, it has some services running in the on-premise servers as well. So these servers are referred as on-premises servers, and these would be the cloud migration. Now if you are looking in the job market, if you are looking the current industry trend, you must have seen that every single company, they wants to modernize their infrastructure, they want to move to cloud, they want to migrate from on-premises to cloud, they want to become more cloud native company, and then they also want to become more cloud agnostic company and stuff like that. All of these words meaning are that they want these services to migrate to the cloud, because these services they tend to become more and more expensive. And how expensive? You must be thinking that, hey, since the company has already bought these servers, they have already paid for it, then how come it can be more expensive than cloud? Because there are a lot of expenses when we talk about from a company's perspective, and for that you will have to understand two terms. First one is a capex. So that is capital expenses that a company has to invest. So capital expenses means that they bought out these servers. So that's a capital expense. For that they have to create network. So that is a capital expense. So these are the things that they have already paid and they have invested already. Next one is the operational expense or OPEX. OPEX means that how much money does it goes to keep this thing up and running. And for that you can think of maybe you need to have like 3 different people who are going to keep on working and try to maintain these servers. So that's an operational expense. Plus, in order to keep this server up and running, you will have to pay the rent to the existing facility. That is an operational expense. Plus, you might need to pay for utilities. You might need to pay for some of the operating system upgrade, maintenance upgrades. So all of these things are part of the utilities or OPEX. Okay. So this is the difference between CapEx and OPEX. Now let's talk about that what are the different types of services that cloud offer, because cloud also offers a wide variety of services. So first we will talk about the services being offered by cloud. Okay, and in terms of services, there are mainly 3 different types of services. First one is called infrastructure as a service. Second one is called platform as a service, and third one is called software as a service. IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And then there are more and more coming up with like policy as a service and code as a service and stuff like that. But these are the 3 main ones that you will have to understand. Now, let me first give you an example from a normal point of view of a real life scenario, and then we will try to understand that what does this infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service mean. Okay, think about a scenario, and we will also talk about on premises. So if we talk about on premises, then understanding these things would make much more sense. Okay, so first let's talk about a scenario where let's assume that okay, I got the example. Let's assume that you are currently a person, okay, and your aim is that you want to travel from one place to another place, and for that you will need to have some transportation services available. There is one option. Maybe you are some person like Elon Musk or Henry Ford or someone, okay. So what you do is you decide to build your own car, and in order to build your own car, you need tires and you need body and you need all of these things, and you somehow make your own car, and this car works fine. And now you are the sole owner of this car. Now you can take this car anywhere to the work, you can do whatever you want to do with this car, and it's up to you. But now on top of it, after owning this car, you will have to own the maintenance of the car. On top of it, if something goes wrong with the car, you will have to fix it, because you have exclusively made this car. If anything wrong happens, you will have to fix it, or if you have to call someone else to fix it, that person is going to charge a lot of money in order to fix all of these things, right? So this is currently your on-premise server. Does your on-premise server works? Yeah, of course. Is it most efficient way? No. Why? Because right now you only have one car. What if you have family of 15 people? So are you going to build a separate car for all 15 people and then maintain all those 15 people by yourself? No, right? Maybe instead of building your own car, maybe even if you buy a ready-made car from outside, still you would be responsible for it throughout its maintenance. And once the car gets old, you might have to discard it. So on-premise servers are something very similar to that. It is just like having a car, but you are responsible for maintaining throughout. Now let's talk about a scenario where there is a very popular concept in European and American companies that is called leasing a car. What does leasing means is that you walk into any car dealership, and in this car dealership, you basically go ahead, you say that, okay, I like the car, maybe Honda Civic, okay, and now this Honda Civic, I want to lease it. What would the salesman would do is, that salesman would say that, hey, if you want to own the Honda Civic, it might cost you like, let's say $30,000, and then the car is yours. You can finance it, lease it, whatever you want to. But if you want to just, rather than owning it, if you want to lease this car, you can take it for rent for anywhere between like 3 to 5 years. And the price for 3 to 5 years, you might pay somewhere between like, let's say $20,000. Okay. So in 30,000, you are going to get, or you are going to become the owner of the car. In this leasing scenario, you are only going to get the car for 3 to 5 years, and you might pay $20,000. So you must be thinking that, hey, why would I pay $20,000 for these 3 to 5 years? The option is that after 3 to 5 years, if you still want to own the car, you can just go back and pay the $10,000 extra, and then you became the owner. If you don't want to pay $10,000 extra, what you can do is you can come back to the store once again. And this time you can, if you want to buy like a Toyota Corolla, you can just grab it and leave the keys for the Honda Civic with the salesman, and that's it. Now you own Toyota Corolla. So, and in this case, you don't have to pay all 20,000. All you are paying is that bi-weekly you are just paying like $250 or something like that. So in this scenario, now when you basically, car is owned in this leasing scenario, car is owned by the showroom, okay, but you are using the car for your whatever the purpose you want to. And in this scenario, once again, for this, you are going to be responsible for maintenance. So what do I mean by maintenance? Maybe you need to put like gas in the car. Maybe you will have to put what type of oil you want to use. If you want to change the tires, if you want to fix the engine, whatever, maybe like the minute expenses, you will take care of it. But after 5 years, you can return it back to the company. So infrastructure of the car, or anything wrong that happens in the car, that will be taken care by the showroom, not by you. You are only responsible for what you put in the car, okay, and you have full control over it. So in this scenario, this is the model of infrastructure as a service, where the infrastructure of car is given to you on a lease by the showroom. And this is one of the examples of how does infrastructure as a service we can understand for the cloud computing as well. How it works is that previously, now let's assume from the point of view of our fruit salesman example, okay, previously let's assume that this is currently your website. Now for this website, originally when you have the on-premise scenario, you were actually deploying this website in your original on-premises servers, and then you were maintaining the server as well on top of it, you were maintaining this application on code base. Everything you were controlling. Okay. Now what the cloud computing said to you is that, hey, we take care of this server part. You don't have to worry about it. We will do everything we can in order to maintain these servers. All you worry about is that we give you this whole server as it is. And now whatever you want to do, you want to deploy this website. You want to just store some value. You want to use it as a database, deploy a database and use it as a database. You want to play Call of Duty, then run a Call of Duty in this server. We don't care. It's up to you. You decide. This is just a simple piece of computer that is going to be maintained by the Microsoft or AWS or like Amazon or someone, but you are going to have full control about what are the things you are going to put in this system. So this is the example of infrastructure as a service model, where the cloud service is being provided as an infrastructure to you. Now next scenario is that, once again going back to our car example, now we are trying to understand the platform as a service. So let's think of a scenario. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Just a second. Okay, where were we? Okay, perfect. So sorry about that. Sure. So going back to our example for platform as a service, what we are going to do is, in terms of platform as a service, basically, okay, let me get back to what I was saying. Okay, for the platform as a service, basically I lost my rhythm. Okay, bear with me for a second. Okay, got it. Think of a scenario that you want to rent a car. Now when renting a car, basically what you have a lot of options and you are renting it for a smaller period of time, and you have limited things on what are the items you can do on the car, but everything related to cars maintenance is being done by a company. Okay, so think of a scenario, maybe you walk into a Hertz or Enterprise shop. Now in this case, you just walk in, you go there and you say that, okay, hey, I want a car. They just want to see your license and some money. Okay, you provided all the information. They ask you what type of car you want. You are be like, give me 4-door sedan, anyone, I don't care. So now think about this car scenario. Okay, so for this particular car, in this case, now you have the car. Okay, all you have to do is you just have to fill up the tank, and many times you don't even have to do that, but you just have to fill up the tank. After filling up the tank, all you can do is you can just sit in the car and you can go wherever you want to, and in the end, once your work is done, you come back and you return the car back to the Hertz shop. Now what are the responsibilities of yours in this scenario? Your responsibility is only that where you want to take this car and how much gas you want to put. So gas in this case is your code base, and where you want to take it means like how much kilometers you want to drive. So how many servers you need, how long do you want to travel it for, that's it. You don't care about that what type of tires I'm going to put. Do I need to do an oil change? Do I need to do brake change? Do I need to maintain anything? Nothing like that. Entire maintenance responsibility follows on the company Hertz. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is you just have to put in the gas and decide where you want to go, and this is your code. Now in this case, of course, this is more expensive than leasing a car and even more expensive than owning a car, but the ease of use and the convenience is very good, because there is no operational cost. So operational expenses is going to be very low in this scenario. So that's why and you are only paying for the number of days you are traveling. Maybe you need it for 2 days, maybe you need it for 3 days, maybe you need it for 50 days. In either case, you are only going to pay for those 50 days about whatever the price is. And so in this case, the infrastructure of the car is going to be maintained by the Hertz company. On top of it, the platform of the car. So all the operational maintenance that needs to be done is also going to be maintained by the company, and you only care about providing your code, and that's it. So in this case, this is the example of platform as a service. And now the last example is software as a service. So software as a service is very simple. In this case, think that you want to travel from one place to another place and you decide to call an Uber. Now for this Uber, what you are doing is you are simply saying Uber that, hey, this is my location, this is where I want to go, and this is the amount of money I am willing to pay. Uber will automatically ask someone to come with a car, and then you can just sit in that car and drive to that place. In this case, you are not at all responsible for this car. Even if you are going in between and something wrong happens in the car, that's it. You just get out and tell Uber is going to send you another car, and you can just sit in that car and then reach to your destination. So you only care about your stuff that you want to use. The entire operation in between is going to be covered by the company Uber or the driver in this case. You are not responsible for anything. So you are using software as a service. So the car for Uber, you can consider this whole experience as software as a service scenario. And if you want to understand some real life examples of software as a service, you can think of a service like Gmail. In the Gmail, all you care about is that you want to send one email from one place to another place. So you don't care how does that email get to that place. You just provide the starting address, you just provide the ending address, and you say that, hey, Gmail, do this for me. So Gmail is going to take care of all of these things, and that's it. Which means these are the three types of services that clouds offers. That is platform as a service, software as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Okay. So now I hope you all understood what I was trying to explain. Now let's see if we have any questions or not. I think we had one question, and that is, hey bro, could you please guide what resources for cracking FAANG companies? Okay, so my friend, let me give you some resource. I'm not sure if you are still listening or not, but either case, I'll give you some of the important resources. So number one resource you can think about is I have created a list of like Google. On the Google, I have created like what do I say, Google document, and in the Google document I have provided all the like somewhere around like 125 technical interview questions. I have sorted them based on like most liked questions, most popular questions, and most asked questions. So you can, if you want, you can check that out. You can find the link to this in any of my video. So just go to description, you should be able to find it. Next, you can try for the cracking the coding interview book and CTCI. So this is a really popular book. This is how this book looks like one of my all-time favorite, and it has been staple in so many places. Next, if you want, you can try NeetCode website, because NeetCode is really good. Because NeetCode also has a list of 150, I guess 150 most asked, most popular questions. And lastly, if you want, you can go and start preparing for, what do I say? What I was gonna say. Okay, you can start preparing for LeetCode questions. So get a LeetCode account and go through the LeetCode like blind 75 list or whatever. So you currently, in order to prepare for technical interviews, you have three options. You can either pick my list of 125 questions. You can pick NeetCode's list of 150 questions. Both, in my opinion, are good. And if you just want a starting point, you can start with blind 75 questions, because this only contains 75 questions. Okay. Aslam is asking Java experience developer should learn Kotlin. Uh, Not necessarily, but it's not never going to hurt it. If you learn Kotlin, yeah, it's always going to add more information on your resume. But just a quick question: if you are a new person who is just starting his or her career, like Aslam, your career, so what I would suggest is, if you can, try to learn Python as well, because this is going to have more scope in the future because of the rise of AI. So of course, Java jobs are always going to be there. Java is pretty popular, but same goes with Python. And also, if you want, you can also start preparing for DevOps as well. There are a lot of DevOps roles that you can think of for start applying for. Okay. Now going back to our introduction to cloud computing. So once again, let me go where we were. Okay, so we talk about all of these things. We also talked about what are the benefits of cloud computing. Okay, now let's talk about some of the interesting case study. Okay, like what are the different options available to us, or what are the different services that are available to us in the cloud computing scenario. So number one is that we will need some place to deploy our resources. That is number one thing. So in terms of deployment, we have the option to deploy to VM, or we have the option to deploy to some PaaS based services. Any resources for DevOps? Yes. So for DevOps, if you want, I think you gave me a good idea. Maybe I can create a separate video on the tech stack for DevOps. So I'll do that. But if you want some resources for DevOps, there is a very popular channel called freecodecamp.org on YouTube. Let me just write it down over here. Okay, freecodecamp.org. Go to this website. They have a very good 4-hour DevOps course. So it's free. So if you do that, it will be very useful for you. Okay. Okay, so now what I was saying is that let's do a quick recap. We understood that what does on-premises servers are. We also understood that what is cloud computing, what are the different types of cloud. So in terms of types of cloud, we have hybrid cloud, we have public cloud, and we have private cloud. Okay. After this, we learned that what are the types of services. So once again, 3 services: infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as a service. These are the 3 main services that we get. Next, let's try to talk about benefits of cloud. So I think we already spoke about this, but we can still talk about it. So one of the good benefit with the cloud is that you can scale, because these are massive data centers that the cloud companies are providing. So you don't have to worry about anything. They are already huge enough that you can, whatever amount of workloads you want to run, you can run it. So that's up to you. So scalability is really important. Next, they are very reliable, because I mentioned to you that you have the option that in any particular city, you are going to have some cluster of different buildings in the same city. Next, in any particular state, there might be separate areas with the same structure. Next, in any particular country, there are going to be these separate entire regions. So you can have massive amounts of geographically distributed places, and you can use that. So it is very reliable system. And next thing is, okay, scalable, reliable. It is also available. Plus you can pick and choose what type of services you want, because there are a lot of options. If you want to understand what are the number of options you have, like Azure, at some point I was going through, I think they have somewhere around 600 services. If you count every single resource that they have to provide, imagine 600 different services to run your workload or to develop your application. It comes with everything. Like if you want to have log analysis, they have a separate service for that. If you want to have firewall, they have a service. If you want to have like Kafka like service, messaging bus queue, you want to run your Kubernetes cluster, they have all of these different services. So it is it gives you a lot of different options. Next, the pricing. So I know cloud can look sometimes expensive, but when you compare the price with the on-premise servers and you also consider the capital expense and the operational expense, then in that case, price is pretty much like always going to be better in the cloud, except very few scenarios. Okay, I'm giving this with a grain of salt that there can be some instance where on-premises is going to be cheaper, but more or less cloud is going to be much more cheaper. You don't have to invest a lot of money because everything is being managed to the latest version and latest available server. So that also saves a lot of cost. And also, if let me see if I am missing some benefits or not. Yeah, I mean, yes, it gives you the option for disaster recovery, that because you have all of these available zones, so you can very easily do the disaster recovery situation. And now let's talk about the last scenario. And that is, what are the okay, let's talk about the last scenario, that what are the challenges with cloud. So of course, in terms of challenges, there are going to be the main concern of security, because you are going to have all of these services up and running in someone else's server. So if you are a company like maybe defense company, maybe a bank, so you really wants to make sure that your servers or your applications are secured and no one else can access that. And if you want that level of security, you might have to pay more. Plus there could also be issues with some compliance. So what do I mean by compliance? So let's assume that there are companies like European Union, they have their own rules. There are GDPR restrictions. Maybe Indian government, they have their own rules. Maybe tomorrow some other new policy comes in that you cannot use this country's data or resources in some other country. Maybe there happens to be like a war-like situation, and what if tomorrow a war break out between two really friendly countries that share the same sort of data structure? Then there becomes an issue. Okay, so there are always going to be these concerns, but overall, if you put it on a scale, of course, cloud computing has much more benefits to offer. Now, what are going to be some of the future trends in cloud? So number one is AI. AI is the buzzword and AI is happening everywhere. Next, there is more and more emphasis from cloud compute companies to move from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service, and from platform as a service to software as a service. And there is a very good reason for that. Number one reason is that it tend to be more expensive, so they get to make more money. That nothing wrong with that. They are also a business. Next, if you are using just infrastructure as a service, and if let's say I am on AWS, it's very easy for me to migrate from AWS to Azure or any other cloud. I'm very easily cloud agnostic. But if I'm using platform as a service, I'm getting some bonus services from the company. But then it's not very easy if I want to migrate from one cloud to another cloud, because they are not providing the servers, but they are very easily integratable only with their own server. Of course, you can do it, but then in order to do this, you will also have to do some expenditure from the company's point of view, because you will have to put some resources or people or hire some folks to do these things. So there are always going, and for software as a service, it's also the same thing. Next trend in AI is there is a lot of Internet of Things that are currently happening. So what does Internet of Things means? That now your fridge is continuously sending data back to the company, and the fridge is saying that, hey, this fridge was open 5 times and this fridge was open 6 times, and they brought water out and they brought drink out. And then there are tools like maybe your Roomba or your Alexa, who are constantly sending the data back to the consumer and the company, and the company is getting these massive amounts of data, and they are processing it, and they are building large language models and stuff like that. So now there is a lot more emphasis on these Internet of Things applications. Plus everything is becoming more and more cloud native. So what do I mean by cloud native is that now there is much more emphasis on building applications that are cloud based. Most of the companies, they wants to move away from on premises because they are expensive and they're hard to maintain. So cloud, there is less hassle maintaining all of these things, and it's much easier to integrate all the different things. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Let me change my scene. Okay. Well, let me fix the orientation of this. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. I'll stay online for maybe 5 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And if not, maybe I can just end the stream. I know this was not the best stream in my opinion. I believe I could have prepared better. I could have done things in slightly better terms, but it is what it is. If anyone has any questions, feel free to go out. I'm just waiting. Which mic I'm using? It's a Maono A4. It's like I bought it for $50. It's not a very expensive mic. And actually, the funny thing is, the whole setup that you are seeing, it's most of the stuff I already used to own from long time and never used it, or maybe I just bought it on Facebook Marketplace at a cheaper rate. So if you want to buy this mic with stand on Amazon, it's around like $70-80, but I just got it for $50 with the stand. So. But you know, the important thing is, if you want to have clear mic quality, you don't need a better mic, but you need better filters. Like, of course, you need better mic, but on the OBS side, you will have to adjust the filters. So let me give you a quick example, a quick demo. For this particular mic, you are now currently listening to my voice, and it seems to be slight of better. Now let me quickly turn off all of the different filters I have. And now tell me, are you feeling the difference in the way I'm speaking or the way I'm communicating? Maybe my voice level has dropped, or it has gone up, or it doesn't feel that nice, right? And now let me turn everything back on. And now I think it should look relatively better. Yeah. So that's why if you want to create your own stream, make sure to invest, because I didn't knew these things beforehand. I, like, after making 150 videos or something like that, I realized that I need to improve my mic quality, and then I started investigating on these things. Okay, so any more questions, guys, girls, anyone? If not, I'll end the stream, and thank you so much for joining in. I'll try to make the stream better and maybe more prepared. So hopefully it was an absolute pleasure on my side. Hopefully you also enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Take care.